So hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K of the Demetra K Show and podcast on Tuesdays. We are not live. I just want to say that right off the top. But we do pop in and read the comments as it's live streaming and everything like that. So thank you for being here. The purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always stand to do better. Always room for improvement. Also like to say a big giant thank you to Donovan, the recovering Democrat Saadiq, as he sits here with me on this show and the Sunday live show where it's all the way live. Also like to thank YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter that will see this for being here and everything that y'all do to make this show do what it do. So normally on Tuesdays, we kind of like to talk about relationship things, but since we are so close to that of the midterms on November 8th, we want to kind of stay in the same vein of politics. And of course, we'll get back to the other hijinks. And of course, I'm sure there'll be some hijinks here. We're going to keep it exciting nevertheless. So we're going to talk about Pastor Jamal Bryant and Judge Joe Brown. Very interesting things that transpired over the last couple of days or so, things that they have said. So before we get started, Donovan, what say you?
Okay, welcome to the Demetra K podcast, you guys. Welcome, and we are glad to have you. Do us a favor, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you want to do, also become a member, because Demetra not only does these shows, she drops extenuating, excellent videos that will keep you informed of things that are going on within the Black diaspora during the week. So become a member, and that way you'll get notified ahead of time and when she does drop those videos. Also, if you have not been getting the videos, please double check and make sure you are subscribed, because YouTube does have a policy of unsubscribing you, especially when you are getting the knowledge that you need to know. And they don't want you to know that. So just always double check that. This is going to be an interesting thing 8 days before a midterm election. If you guys are paying attention, it's very, very important to vote your interest, and we'll see what happens in this midterms. Please do not be bullied or frightened that this is the most pivotal election of your life. Don't they say that every 2 years? Oh, this is the most pivotal of your life. Oh, you got to go vote. Oh my God, vote your interest, and everything will be fine.
Yes, indeed. And so you guys forgive me if I seem like I'm kind of I'm not pixeling, but kind of moving around kind of weird. It's the weather here in Houston, I would imagine, but I'm still here. You can hear me and see me, I think. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Pastor Jamal Bryant, I guess over the weekend, gave some sort of a sermon out of his church at New Birth there in Atlanta. And he doesn't sound like he likes Herschel Walker much. So check this out, and then we're going to get into our little commentary about it.
Republican Party of Georgia moved Herschel Walker from Texas to Georgia so that he could run for Senate. It's because change was taking too fast in the post-antebellum South. The state had been flipped blue, and there are some principalities that were not prepared for a black man and a Jewish man to go to Senate at the exact same time. So they figured that they would delude us by picking somebody who they thought would in fact represent us better with a football than with a degree in philosophy. They thought we were so slow, that we were so stupid, that we would elect the lowest caricature of a stereotypical broken black man, as opposed to somebody who is educated and erudite and focused. Y'all ain't ready for me today. Since Herschel Walker was 16 years old, white men been telling him what to do, telling him what school to go to, where to live, where to eat, where to buy a house, where to run, where to sit down, where to sleep, where to pay for abortions, where to buy a gun. And you think they not gonna tell him how to vote? In 2022, we don't need a walker, we need a runner. We need somebody who gonna run and tell the truth about January 6th. We need somebody who gonna run and push for the cancellation of student loan debts. We need somebody who gonna run and make the former president respond to a subpoena. We don't need a walker, we need somebody who will be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding, knowing that your labor is not in vain. Georgia, I need you to know the slave Negroes y'all are used to don't live here no more. We can think for ourselves, function for ourselves, and vote for ourselves. Why? Because we don't need a walker. Ladies and gentlemen.
So I'm sorry, y'all, that y'all could hear it, but it was freezing up a little bit. I don't know why it's doing that. Hopefully it's going to correct itself. But Donovan, I'll let you go ahead and take a crack at what you saw.
Yes, Lord. Again, oh boy. Again, here's a pastor who is weighing in on politics, which he should not be doing according to what Jesus Christ said. Do not be of this world if you believe in all that stuff. And he's trying to put his thumb on the scale of how people should vote. What he's doing is no different than what he's talking about. You're having a pastor trying to tell people how they should vote. Is no different than what he just said about a white man trying to tell Herschel Walker how he should do it. The question is, can Herschel Walker run in the Senate? Yes, or for the Senate in Georgia? Yeah, absolutely he can. He didn't break any laws. Is he from Georgia? Is he a native Georgian? Yes, he is. So very troubling there. I saw Miss Apollo in the audience walking around there. So I wasn't sure if this was a comedy skit or what was going on there, because he was more entertaining as he was with the theatrics, right? The state, he says, is flipped blue, and me and Dimitri and I had this conversation in regards to what denotes a red state versus a blue state. I was always under the assumption what the governor was is what the state is, because they have these governors associations and they count the governors by who is a Republican and who is a Democrat and vice versa, whatever. There you're talking about elitism. I thought it was very, very poor taste that he is talking about because Herschel Walker doesn't have a degree. And I guess he's alluding that Ralph Warnock had a degree in philosophy. So because you've got a degree, that makes you qualified to run for office in the United States? No, it doesn't. Do you know one of the most popular presidents ever in the United States that was the most rabid, racist man that has ever occupied the House, the White House? His name is Andrew Jackson. He's on the $20 bill. And he was a common man. And I mean, the white folks just loved this dude. This is the man that really ran roughshod over the Indians, the Trail of Tears and all that other stuff. And he was the one that told and put the precedent that the White House is the people's house. And when he was actually inaugurated, he actually just let the common person walk into the White House. It's their house. And they had a party there and it got out of hand. Just to read the history on that. And there was a lot of Black congressmen, I believe, that said that they would hold the president accountable. Whatever happened to that? Matter of fact, there was a bunch of congressmen that said that they would get his taxes. How'd that work out? So, I mean, a lot of BS that this pastor is saying, and it really goes to show you if he's trying to pull out the ignorance of Georgians like a Herschel Walker. To me, I didn't see any difference between him or Herschel Walker. So is that what's going on in Georgia? Is that the type of Black people that he's trying to say exist in Georgia? Because he's doing no different. And it seems to me this pastor is trying to get his butter biscuits from the Democratic Party as well. So I hope after all this is done, somebody looks at his contributions and where they come from. And I would almost guarantee he's going to get a donation from a very, very special PAC for his work for the Democratic Party.
Absolutely. So again, I apologize for that video freezing up, but I believe you can hear it. Yes, there was people running around shouting and screaming, ebullient about what he was saying. He made me anxious with all of the that he was doing. But anyway, so again, that was Pastor Jamal Bryant of New Birth Church there in Atlanta, Georgia, who was giving, I guess, Ralph Warnock some sort of an endorsement. As you guys know, President Barack Obama showed up there a couple of days before that, stomping for him and Stacey Abrams and someone else. I can't remember her name. But he was there. And they said that they brought out Obama as, you know, one of the big guns, the heavy hitters, because Georgia is an embattled state. It is one of 5 embattled states that the Democrats are having a hard time just really, you know, bringing home whatever seat it is. And so I guess that was Jamal Bryant's way of shoring up the base by talking bad, because to me, that's what it was, talking bad about Herschel Walker. We know that Herschel Walker is problematic in that he, you know, well, I don't know. People are saying that he's not that bright, but I think if you watch the debate between him and Ralph Warnock, you saw him kind of pull a fast one over on Ralph Warnock. And I think that is also why they need people like Jamal Bryant, Obama. And from what I understand, Oprah might have gone up there. I'm not sure. But they need those people to really kind of help, because Ralph Warnock did not do himself any favors during that debate. And the polling numbers are really close to this point between the both of them. Now, a lot of people are upset, including that of Senator Chuck Schumer, who was who was on the tarmac with that of President Joe Biden, and it was on a hot mic, and he was like, "I can't believe they would vote for Herschel Walker," basically saying, "Oh my God, what's going on here?" Right? So it was kind of, people took that as a backhanded comment against that of Ralph Warnock, and so I said all that to say, here you have Jamal Bryant, who was sitting in the church. Now, a lot of people like to bring up the separation of church and state, and that is in the Bill of Rights. And it basically says that the government is not to impede upon that of the church. They should have the right to, you know, do their religious things without the government interfering. But then it also makes you wonder, well, is it the other way around as well? What about pastors influencing that of elections? Because if you ask me, he's influencing elections. But I would also say this: I don't think that anybody is sitting in Jamal's church that hasn't already decided that they would vote for Ralph Warnock. I think most of those people probably like, yeah, I'm not voting for Herschel Walker. But as he said, Herschel Walker is an athlete. White men have been telling him what to do his whole life. And it's like, well, what you think telling Ralph Warnock what to do? You don't think he going to Washington and having a whole bunch of white men telling him what to do? You really think Ralph Warnock is going up in there talking about, listen, white men, I'm here now. Y'all sit down, shut up. Nah, that's not what it is. So anybody in Washington gonna have a bunch of white people telling them what to do, because this country was founded by white men. So let's not lie to kick it. But again, that's what I call bending the truth. Because you have people like Jamal Bryant will go in there and lie to his congregation as if Ralph Warnock is the better candidate. But if he's a better candidate, then how come he's not hitting the home run and saying, well, let me just sit back and rest on pretty, because the numbers are totally in my favor. If he's a better candidate, surely the people of Georgia are having some, you know, sort of interpretation about electing Ralph Warnock. So I don't know. And then the other thing too is, it's like, you talk about you need a runner and not a walker. Well, what has Warnock ran and done for anybody? I've seen a little cute campaign commercial that he has. He's running around. He's an avid runner. He's running around town saying hello to everybody. But it's like that symbolism. What is he actually doing? He was asked by Black people, are you for reparations? And he said no, but he's so excited to go help everybody else. But clearly they need Black people, specifically Black men, because we even heard Stacey Abrams say, Black men, I cannot do this without you. In fact, they're saying that the GOP don't let the GOP use you, Black men. All these things have been done for you. Well, it's a lie. If you go on the African Diaspora News Channel, hopefully it'll go up. I don't know. I actually did a story about it. And so there is Jamal Bryant trying to be the moral authority. But the other thing is this, Jamali, what you're not telling people, and maybe people already know, but in case you don't, he's sitting in the church of Eddie Long. And so now you're trying to be the moral guy. Who is Eddie Long? Y'all know Eddie Long was accused of having inappropriate sexual relationships with 4 young men up in that church, to the tune of him having to settle out of court. And he was this big time pastor that was against homosexuality, and then he ends up getting caught up in it. Of course, Eddie Long is no longer there. He died of cancer from what they say. And so now Jamal Bryant is sitting in that church, and now he's sitting up there trying to throw stones. In fact, the church named the street there, I guess, that goes up to the church after Eddie Long. So it's like you sitting up in the church bamboozling your congregation. But my thing is this, I don't see that they're technically registered as a 501c3, but churches don't need to register. They automatically get that designation as far as the IRS is concerned, due to them being a religious organization and, you know, the way they get the donations and stuff. And so if you're if you're labeled a 501c3, and I don't know that he is, again, he's automatically labeled that. Are you even supposed to be doing that? Because per the IRS, one of the ways that you keep that designation, meaning that you do not have to pay taxes, is that you do not delve in politics and supporting candidates and any other thing like that. So I have a lot of questions. But again, Jamal Bryant is one of those guys that's sitting up there hoodwinking Negroes to go vote for more of nothing. And he really should be ashamed of himself. If people want Herschel Walker, that should be up to them, not him. But see, this is the thing in closing, that pastors are, let's keep it real, they're the most influential person in the Black community. And so he could go tell people to walk on a hot bed of glass and they will go do it if they think they're going to go to heaven. So he shouldn't be in that pulpit telling people what to do. They should be able to decide for themselves.
Yeah, you know, and to piggyback on what you said in regards to the 503c status and the tax exempt status and stuff like that, that was a grand bargain that was given to them by Democratic President Lyndon B. Johnson. And if you really think about it, in the 60s during the Civil Rights Movement, that is where all the so-called Black leaders met to strategize what they were going to do and how they're going to do it. And, you know, that's where the community really gathered within the Black community to get the information of what, you know, what was going to happen in the community. Right. And so the Democratic Party and the white racists, they happen to be Democrats that were fighting against civil rights, said, we got to break this type of stuff up. And so when Lyndon Johnson said, before he signed the civil rights bill and this other bill, I forgot what the bill was, he said, I'm going to have these, quote, I'm going to have these Negroes, let's use the other word, but Negroes voting Democrat for the next 500 years. That was one of the bargains that was in that bill, that they cannot engage in political activity to receive a tax exempt status. So for those pastors that were in the picture with Lyndon Johnson when he was signing this bill, whatever, I mean, it goes to show you kind of like what they say in the Bible, if you believe in that stuff, the 13 pieces of silver or gold of Judas. They would rather get the money than go ahead and do God's work and be truthful and guide the people. And if you think about it, ever since the civil rights and all the leaders got killed, Martin Luther King got killed, what major Black pastor has risen and has really been a Martin Luther King type person? There hasn't been one. Oh, Jesse Jackson. No. I think Jesse was in on the fix on Martin Luther King. That's my personal opinion on that, because no, there hasn't really been one. And I really do think the elitism within the Black community, you know, why is it that for Black people to be successful, it's geared on, oh, how much money the HBCUs get? And if you're not in a sorority, I noticed the pastor had a fraternity sweater on or something like that. If these fraternities and sororities and HBCUs are doing so good for the Black community, Ralph Warnock, again, I guess he has a degree in philosophy, whatever. If these guys are such great leaders and stuff like that, why is the Black community in the state that it is in today? Where are these people other than enriching themselves? And only a small fraction of the Black community could even afford to go to a HBCU. So what are they talking about?
Yes, indeed. And then also the phrase separation of church and state is actually a lot older than Lyndon B. Johnson. Is actually that of Thomas Jefferson in 1802, where he was addressing the church in Connecticut, basically saying that there should be some sort of a wall of separation between church and state. So a lot older than most people actually know. But yeah, I mean, he's sitting up in the church and he should be preaching. He should be preaching. He should be allowing people to make their own decisions. But that playbook is as old as time. To get the pastor, we've seen it time and time again. I mean, I've been in churches during political season and I've seen candidates come up in there now. But I will also say in fairness that I've also heard the pastor say, listen, I can't tell y'all who to vote for because they was protecting that money. You know, I can't tell you who to vote for. However, we're going to have candidate for Senate or whatever come up and talk to y'all, whatever. But that's on them. I'm not telling. I've heard pastors say that, but now we're actually hearing and seeing a lot of pastors just flat out, don't vote for this person, vote for that person. He should be up in the pulpit preaching the word of God. But also what he did was he commingled the word of God with politics and saying we should be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding. You know, that's biblical. And it's like, Black people really, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this in love. And Black people who do not study and research are in a lot of trouble. Because had I been sitting in his church and I heard him doing all that hooping and hollering and sister so-and-so on them running around down there hanging off the chandeliers, I'd have been like, wait a minute, I didn't come here for that. I am educated enough to go make my own decision. The way Ralph Warnock say, oh, the patient room, the examination room is too small for the government, the patient and the doctor. And as Herschel Walker said, oh, you forgot there's a baby in there too. But I mean, as the pastor, the polling booth is too small for me and you to be up in there. I don't need you to tell me what to do. But again, instead of people pulling him to the carpet and saying, yo, you know what, we come to church and pay our tithes and offerings and all that, let's keep it there. They amening that stuff. And again, I saw a lot of people posting this like, woo-hoo, he told them this, that, and the other. But the thing is this, if I was in Georgia, this is just me, and I heard Pastor Jamal Bryant doing all that, I would say, you know what? Just out of spite, I'm going to go vote for Herschel Walker. I don't think either one of them is the most qualified, but hearing Jamal Bryant do all of that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go vote for Herschel Walker because for one, you ain't going to tell me what to do. And the case that you tried to lay out there, it's what does that really do for Black people? Jamal Bryant's church is full of Black people. So are you speaking to specifics to the Black community? Like, what are we asking for? Reparations. If you go to the CBC, their Twitter or their website, it'll tell you the number one thing that Black people in America are asking for is reparations. And so why aren't you speaking to that? Why aren't you speaking specifically to the things, like you said, Donovan, talking about student loans and stuff like that? Every Black person in America don't have a student loan. And then the student loan forgiveness is $10,000 to $20,000, depending on what kind of loan you got. So most people, we know most Black women are the ones with the most student loan debt, Black people in general. So that's a drop in the bucket. So you're speaking to things or whatever, but Jamal, why you didn't speak to that $2,000 that Joe Biden was supposed to be giving everybody? He gave everybody 14 from his administration, and then piggybacked that off of Trump saying, oh, well, he gave you 600, but that ain't the lie he told. And not only did he tell the lie, Kamala told the lie, Warnock told the lie, Ossoff told the lie. Everybody went to Georgia and told that lie. And then when they got what they wanted, what do? Well, that's not what we meant. What we meant was, and so here he is, Jamal Bryant. I think he should be called to the carpet. I think you got other bigger fish to fry. But see, one thing about Jamal Bryant is not unusual for him to run his mouth on certain things. He ran his mouth on Kevin Samuels. He was totally dead wrong. And he ran his mouth talking about these hoes ain't loyal, all up in the church. It's like, man, you kind of letting it slip a little bit. But again, the other thing too is, I mean, he knows that Black people are very, very influential, or influenced rather, easily influenced. And he can say whatever he wants, and people will do it. But I just wish that we would hoop and holler for some real serious stuff, like reparations or even just a candidate that's really going to go and help Black people.
Do you want to know what's really crazy about this whole thing with the 503Cs and the pastors in these churches? Who was the group of people that was meeting with Trump more so within the Trump administration? Black pastors. And what did they accomplish? Almost absolutely nothing, because didn't Trump propose that the 503C gets eliminated so that they can engage in political activity if they wanted to do so? He proposed that. And then with everybody suffering during the pandemic, who were some of the most people that made sure that they got PPC loans? Herschel Walker brought this up during the debate. A lot of pastors, they made sure they got payments, in some form. But, what about their congregation? So, when it comes to pastors, I really have a disdain for a lot of pastors, not all pastors, because there are some good pastors. I've met some really excellent pastors, especially here in my community. But for most of them, it's just a racket. Like I said, I have yet to run across a pastor that said, hey, I was a millionaire, billionaire. The Lord called me and I gave it all up to serve the Lord. I'm always meeting the pastors that have that testimony of, I was a drug dealer, I was a gang member, I was a pimp. Now you're a pastor, and all you did was take your gift of gab, and now you're using it in the right, legally, not even the right way, but legally, to grift off people who might not, who will fall for that. So unfortunately, they have a lot of sway in the Black community, but unfortunately also what's unfortunate in our community, not many people go to church like when we were younger, Demetra, where Big Mama didn't care what your religion was. Everybody went to church with Big Mama on Sunday. She didn't care if you're a Catholic, Jewish, whatever. You go into Big Mama's church, you know, no matter what. So unfortunately, a lot of people are turned off by religion because they're seeing that there is a wolf in sheep's clothing within the church, and it's usually the pastor.
Another thing, too, is Jamal Bryant said they found the stereotypical broken Black man. It's like, I mean, you really described a lot of people there. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just like, it's like, from when I hear Jamal Bryant say those type of things, it's almost like he's using reverse stereotypical racism tropes type of thing. Oh, look at them. Out of all these smart Black men they could have got, they being the Republican Party, they went and got a dummy. It's for lack of better words, is what he's saying. Somebody all he knows how to do is hold the football. But it's like, Jamal, why y'all keep tiptoeing around the point that he wrote a dope job candidate? He ain't all that stupid. He got on the debate stage with him and ate that dude's lunch. Y'all don't want to talk about that. Talk about that, the fact that Ralph Warnock really could not articulate anything because Herschel Walker, who y'all saying is dumb, all he know how to do is hold the football, went in there and got that dude off guard, and he could not regain composure. He resorted to lying is what he did, and you know, resting on pretty. Oh, I'm the darling, the sweetheart. This is his attitude. I'm supposed to win. How dare this big meaty Negro get up here and do this to me? It's like, no, don't get mad. Go out, get out there and defend your stance. But he couldn't do that. And so, again, the fact that, see, that debate right there, which I impress upon everybody to watch the debate between Ralph Warnock and Herschel Walker, that debate was supposed to solidify things for Ralph Warnock, and it did not do that. In fact, it made it worse because people are like, wait a minute. You were supposed to be the one that's manhandling this dude, and you got manhandled. So now people who were unsure, like, well, wow, that didn't clear anything up. Because most people watched, including me, watched to see if he was going to get his lunch ate, he being Herschel Walker. And I was like, wow, you know, when he didn't. So that's why you need your Jamal Bryants, your Oprahs, and your Baracks, and everybody else going up and through there to try to really shore up the base. And we know for Stacey Abrams, she probably not going to win. Let's just keep it real. So, but with Ralph Warnock, he is so close to losing the seat, or close to, maybe he's close to winning the seat. I don't know, but he's not close enough. Barack Obama don't want to be out there on the campaign trail, but they know what? If they lose, what is it, one seat? They lose one seat, it's flipped. And that one seat in the Senate, they know that. So it needs somebody like Barack out there. But Jamal Bryant is telling the truth. You wouldn't even need to be saying all of that if your candidate was all that you saying he is. He's talking about he got a degree in philosophy. Well, then why is he out there talking about he's pro-choice? He got a degree in philosophy. He should know that that's in direct opposition to the word of God. They're talking about that baby should be deleted if the mother so chooses to do so. So again, he ain't talking to a lot of people who gonna dissect what he's saying.
You know, and the funny thing is, you know, these Democratic candidates, if you really look at them, they're going off a playbook. Didn't Stacey Abrams say there's a direct correlation between gas prices and women having to delete their babies? You know, it's like craziness. It's like, so, you know, here's Stacey Abrams, who's going to lose. There's no doubt she's going to lose. Saying that they asked her a question on gas prices, and she says that the correlation to that is women that have too many children. So she's basically was kind of saying, hey, you know, if you didn't have so many kids, you know, you got to like delete them, and, you know, maybe, and your economic situation would be better. It's just super, super crazy. And then going back to the debate, because remember that when that debate was going on, me and you were talking and we were calling each other. I really do feel, though, Herschel kind of baited Ralph Warnock. And like you said, you know, people think that this man is not smart or his team is not smart because let's say Herschel is not smart. It's obvious he's suffering from some form of CTE or whatever his thing is. And that's my opinion. But he has a good team on his hands, right? He's been caught in all these scandals. He's weathered all of these scandals. Great. Ralph Warnock is supposed to have a great team as well. Really skilled team. Now, remember, Herschel was like, no, I'm not debating. Even in his primaries, he was like, I'm not debating anybody. I don't need to debate anybody, blah, blah, blah. So he skirted through. Wasn't it Ralph Warnock, the one that was like baiting and bitching at Herschel Walker about, you got to debate me. We got to debate. Just give us some debate. You're afraid to debate me, debate me. And I really thought it was kind of genius that they kind of played that, because they knew they were going to eat his lunch. Like, okay, we're going to, the expectation is going to be on you because you're the one that wanted this debate. And it's almost like, I'm going to give you all you can handle. It's like when I say, when people look at me because I'm a small guy, I don't say I'm going to win the fight. I never say that. I always say, I'm going to give you all you can handle, give you something to think about. Now, some people say, oh, Warnock won the debate. Every question he was asked when I saw that debate, Demetria, I never saw Ralph Warnock answer it. And what made Herschel really good in that debate is he answered every question honestly to the best of his ability. He was genuine. People are tired of these bullshit BS politicians. And, and until the Democratic Party realizes that, and here's the thing, if the Democrats really want to win, this is why I keep telling people there's no difference between the parties, two wings of the same bird. They know they have to do for Black people tangibly. So why not just do it? If you want to win, just do it. But they don't want to win. They're like, hey, we're going to let them get it for a while. And, oh, look, if the Republicans get in, it's all a game. So I'm just, Georgians, please vote your interest. And by voting your interest, as you see, we are not a monolith of a people. Everybody has different interests. And if Herschel Walker gets in, question for you, Demetria, what do Black people lose? Ralph Warnock hasn't delivered anything. Because if I was a senator, I would have been up there saying, well, in the 2 years that I've been here, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. I would have just listed everything off specifically for Black people. Blah, blah, blah. This is what I did. Then Black people should vote for you. But he couldn't list one tangible thing. And that's the sad truth of it. So if a Republican gets in there, what would be the difference? Absolutely nothing.
And lastly, before we get on to the one with Judge Joe Brown, Pastor Jamal Bryant was up in the pulpit gossiping. Don't the Bible talk about not gossiping? He up in there talking about Herschel's paying for abortions. It's like, bruh, you don't have no proof of that. That's gossip. That's hearsay. But there you are, supposed to be this big time man of God up in the pulpit gossiping. You don't know that for a fact, but that's you gossiping and potentially lying to sway the flock. You are the helm of the flock. You are supposed to shepherd the flock, which is your congregation, and you're supposed to send them in the right direction. But you're not doing that. You're spreading gossip until it is confirmed. There's some concrete proof, and I'm not saying Herschel didn't do that. I just don't know. It's all been here saying some woman here, but it's like, why these women ain't been come out? Why they wait to the last minute to talk about, oh, by the way, come on, we've seen that playbook a million times. Oh, okay, the 11th hour, this candidate ain't doing so good. Let's send out the broads to talk about they got something happen to them. So again, Pastor Jamal Bryant's up in the pulpit gossiping. He should be ashamed of himself. But again, he know his congregation and the people who reposting all that, like he just said something. He know that they just as ignorant and they give him a pass because he's this big, high-profile pastor. But I would say to Jamal Bryant, stop gossiping. And get in the pulpit and teach the word of God and say that we need to mind our business. And then whoever you want to vote for, that is your business. I would tell you to make an informed decision. But don't listen to me up in here gossiping and heaving and hoeing like I need a damn inhaler. So anyway, that's that on that. Let's go ahead and move on to that of Judge Joe Brown. You guys know Judge Joe Brown, who is the infamous television judge that had no problem speaking it like it was or is. What I understand, he was no longer on the air. I don't know if he still is, but got into some trouble with the, I guess, cops outside of the show. He was basically like, you know who I am type of stuff. And then, the rest is history. But he has been very outspoken about that, things in the Black community. He is not a fan of feminism. And he has a saying, and he has a saying on the show, Man Up, where he's telling Black men to man up. take your rightful place in society, lead the Black community as you are supposed to do, right? So some people say that is controversial. He is running for the mayor of Memphis, Tennessee, and he was done, I guess, had a candidate symposium or maybe a question and answer type of thing. And this is the news story that came out of it. And so we're going to get a little bit more detail, but check this one out. Then I'm going to show you another one.
Besides leadership, some of the good ladies in here would get drugged into an abandoned apartment and raped. That's one of the problems.
That was the response from Memphis mayoral candidate Judge Joe Brown Thursday night. His answer was in response to the question of why, instead of running, why not support a woman to be the next mayor?
Wow. It was from the start of the comment to the end, it just kind of went like that.
Attorney and president of the Memphis chapter of the National Bar Association, Laquita Stokes, says she was in the crowd.
Halfway during his comment, as he got toward the part about the rape, I closed my eyes and I just did this. And, you know, you just kind of say a prayer to yourself for the city, for the leadership, and whoever we choose for that role.
But she wasn't the only city leader in the crowd. So was the executive director of the NAACP Memphis branch, Vicki Terry.
We have a police chief, a fire chief, both women. We have women that have businesses here in the city, you know, prominent women here in the city. So for him to say something like that, I don't think he really thought about what he was saying.
Current MSCS school board member Michelle McKissack announced earlier this month that she was considering running in the mayor's race. She had this to say.
It's disappointing because this is 2022. This is not the Stone Ages. Women have been leading for a long time. We have a female police chief. He was talking about safety and security. I'm not afraid to go anywhere in the city. This is my hometown.
And again, y'all, I apologize. I don't know why it's doing that. I almost hate to even do videos, other videos on this platform because it's wonky and it's stupid. But
well, again, and it's also the platform of your message. So it's no secret that the new Black media is being targeted specifically. Yeah,
but I'm not live, so it's recording. So it's probably at this point on my end. So anyway, I apologize for that. But so basically there, if I could kind of just paraphrase, Judge Joe Brown again was at a symposium or something, and they asked him about, as a Black man, why do you have a problem with a Black woman, you know, being in leadership or something like that? And he basically said, well, he says a man could do things or basically go. Actually, I want to show you what he said, but actually this is what the longer version of what happened. So check it out.
I actually think he was paraphrasing. So
sound like this is a Black man instead of uplifting a Black woman.
Oh, hard down.
Sorry, but some things men do real well. One of the main problems is, I don't want to get crude about it, but some places you need to go to exercise leadership. Some of the good ladies in here would get drugged into an abandoned apartment and raped. That's one of the problems.
Oh, meanwhile,
see, he clarified this whole thing. He paraphrased the thing. He was using a paraphrasing. He was paraphrasing.
So he actually clarified what he said. And so, of course, that was a lot of outrage. He basically asked, you know, why do you have a problem, or do you have a problem with Black women in leadership? And he says, basically, there's places that a man could go and probably be safe that a woman could not go. And then he used, you know, the rape term. And, of course, he heard people, oh, my God, what? And all of that. And so it is said that Memphis does have a lot of female leadership. I think the police chief and a couple other people and higher ups there are Black women in leadership. Now, it should also be said that Memphis, it says here in 2021, was rated as the most dangerous city in the United States. It has the second highest homicide rate of any U.S. metro area, and the murder rate is increasing. Okay, so with that being said, you got women in leadership, and I'm just telling you the facts as I know them. I'm not rendering my opinion just yet because I don't want anybody to get mad. You have women in leadership, and so what he is saying is, yeah, I think men need to basically go in there and clean it up. But he did later on say, I don't have a problem with women leading at all, but I just think because the state of Memphis is so bad, it does. We do need men to go in there and do the heavy lifting. And then if a woman wants to get in there and do whatever, fine. And so he actually went on to say this because it sounds like people were lying on him, women, sisters. So he put this on his Twitter. With respect, ma'am. So he was referring or replying to a lady, I guess, who was kind of lying on him. Says, that's a lie. I repeated what a 19-year-old lady student has said in an earlier forum. You conveniently leave out the context. The city is extraordinarily violent and only someone can get up close and personal in the hood can do something. So sounds like he was referencing something somebody else asked him in that same vein of the violence. And so it sounds like, as he was saying, that context was left out. But at the end of his thing, he says the city is extraordinarily violent and only someone who can get up close and personal in the hood can do something. So if you think about what he's saying as far as somebody being able to get up close and personal in the hood, it would probably be a man. And, you know, whether we want to believe it or not, yeah, in that context of, you know, rape, a woman probably would have that issue faster than a man would. But a lot of people have a problem with it. Like, he doesn't need to be mayor because he's misogynistic. And, you know, they throwing those words around. But it's like, Memphis is very violent. One of the #1 violent cities in the nation. It's like, you got women leadership already. Why not try what he is saying? Are you more interested in holding on to the power? Or are you more interested in making sure that Memphis is safe for all? Because it is very violent. I mean, hell, every time I would watch the First 48, they would talk about Memphis. They talk about Houston too. But Memphis was one of the, you know, cities that they would always talk about. And so, Donovan, what is your opinion of Judge Joe Brown coming under fire for being called misogynistic over his comments?
Well, of course, that's the playbook. You always attack a black man by being misogynic, violent. He's, you know, all the stereotypes that they throw at black men when it comes to narcissistic, you know, I mean, you can throw all of that at him. But what I thought he was putting in the context of this, even if you go into a board, let's say you are a female mayor and you go into a boardroom and you got to deal with the assembly or, you know, wherever you're dealing with, whatever the thing is, women are usually very soft spoken and stuff like that. Am I correct? In most cases, yes. You know, we got some loud ones out there, but in most cases, women are, you know, very soft spoken. So let's say you're trying to get some legislation out and you're a soft spoken woman and you're dealing with a very strong, opinionated opposition leader. Women usually do get dragged when it comes to, you know, arguments in regards to politics and stuff. And that's what I got out. What he was trying to say was like, you know, you're going to go in there and get dragged, not just like going out into the hood, but politically, if you're not a strong and abrasive type person dealing with, let's say, long-term clans, councilmen and stuff like that. They're in Memphis, all that other stuff. They're going to run roughshod over you because you're a woman. I mean, and we live in a misogynistic society. This country was founded on misogyny. I mean, you know, where are these people living? This is where we're at. And that's what I think he was trying to tell them in the context of dealing with other men. You just can't be a woman talking about, that ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. Maxine Waters does it. How much has Maxine accomplished since she was going to hold Trump accountable? Zero. How much have we seen Maxine, regardless of her 30-year fight to get reparations? Zero. This is what I think he was trying to talk about. And you brought up the first 48. That was the first thing I was thinking as well. You got women in these positions, and I'm not saying women don't do a very good job, but it seems like when a woman is in a lot of positions, they leave the position unfulfilled. A good example of Val Demings, Orlando is on the rise in regards to its crime and things. I think that's pretty much all over the nation, but they do a job there and then they move on to the next higher offices, which is what most people do. But people are getting so tired of this male versus female messaging, especially when it comes against black men. Ladies, reality is reality. Men are stronger, faster, whatever, genetically. Can some women lead in certain situations? Absolutely. But why is it that where women are leading, when it comes to the black community, they're failing? Why?
So it should also be said too that Judge Joe Brown is a very big proponent of the man, the black man, returning back to the family, going back into the neighborhoods, and bringing the neighborhood back to where it was, where there was respectability, where the women, didn't have to be on the front lines doing the things that men should do. And so again, he's not a big fan of feminism, but he also does admonish the man. And so I just kind of wonder, to your point, Donovan, why is it this gender thing in politics? Why can't it be the best woman or man for the job? Why get up there and ask such a question in regards to, as a black man, why do you have a problem with a black woman? It's like, regardless if it was a green woman, if she was in there, she was going to do a job. Sounds like Memphis is having a huge issue with crime and all of that. Regardless of who it is, if it's the best person for the job, but why do that? Because when I hear that sometimes, and we do have a lot of black women in leadership and politics, but when I hear that, it's like, why, sister, why are you trying to make this big gender divide and make it an issue? Now, I would tend to think that it's not a secret that Joe Brown is against feminism, things like that. But now you've created this soundbite. When I say you, I'm talking about the sister. You created this unnecessary soundbite for what? To ask him, to pit black men and women against each other. But again, if you follow Judge Joe Brown, he is pro-black man and pro-black woman getting together and saving the black race, the black community. So to try to spin it that, he's misogynistic. But you also got to remember, Judge Joe Brown is 75 years old. So he was before the dilapidation of the black community. He saw black communities working at their full glory, right? Where we did things together, church, school, stores, everything we did together. He was there when the black woman and the black man was predominantly together. And he also is old enough to have seen the dilapidation of the black community for a whole host of reasons. And so I think he would probably know what he's talking about. Also, we have to concede the fact that Judge Joe Brown comes from the era where men did the heavy lifting, where men went out in the world, the woman stayed in the home and made the house a home, and the man went out and, braved all the things that was out there, brought home some money so the wife could do whatever she needed to do. And so a lot of people call him misogynistic, but it's like, because I have this conversation with my daughter a lot. I'm like, I hear this term, especially with the older generation, y'all out of touch. It's like, well, are we out of touch? Or did we have a different set of values that we still hold on to? And when you think about values, should your values change if another generation comes along and considers them antiquated? Like, what do you do? And so I think we need to think about all of that before we go and label people one thing or another. So again, Judge Joe Brown, 75 years old, from a different generation in time where he saw it work for black people to where it is now not working for black people. And he is living in a place, obviously Memphis, Tennessee, where there's a lot of bloodshed going on. And so for that young sister, because she looks like she was a lot younger than him, to get up there and ask him such, to me, it was silly. I think she got what she was looking for. I think she got the sound bite, the aha moment, the, oh, look at him. He misogynistic. He's problematic. I think she got what she was looking for. But so it's like, did you get the viral moment you were looking for? Is that what you really wanted? Or do you want really improvement of the city of Memphis? Because if you don't, then that asking that question and going viral with that, because I'm sure he said a whole lot of other stuff within that meeting, but then that's the only thing people ran off with is that he used the word rape. And in the larger sense of things, he's right. If a woman is walking in the area where it's probably problematic, she's probably maybe not raped, but she's probably more than likely to get accosted than a man would.
That's very correct. Again, I don't think. I think here's my question, and it's not just in Memphis; it's all over this country. Why is it that a 75-year-old man feels he is in the condition and he is the best? And don't get me wrong, he has a lot of knowledge and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, but what does that say about us as younger people, to where we are not stepping up and fixing these problems that we see within our community? And we're relying on a 75-year-old man to become a mayor. We have a 78-year-old president. We have a 78-year-old leader of the House. We have a 81-year-old Jim Clyburn. All these people are in their 70s. What does that say about us as a country, that we are relying on people who come from a so-called different era to where there was black and white and a lot of racial division. Because sometimes I sit back and I look at Donald Trump. He's from that era also. Joe Biden is from that era of the division. They actually believe this. This is in their soul. This is how they were raised as little children. And we wonder why the Stokes of racism is so fierce today. Look at the people that are leading us today. They all come from that era. If you weren't born in, let's say, I think the official ending of the baby boomer is 66. I believe that's the official end of baby boomers. So if you weren't born from 1967 above, you're not considered a baby boomer and of that generation. But even myself, Demetria, because you're about 25, 23, I don't know. I'm 50-something years old. And I have scars from the busing and the integration. That was the first thing for our generation, whatever. What does that say about us as a country where we are still relying on these civil rights retreads to lead this country? And I'm going to call them retreads. And the reason I call them retreads is not to be derogatory. It's the fact that they've come back. They had their time of leadership. Well, they never actually left, but they're still here. They're retreading their leadership. Like, they're going to solve these problems. For Christ's sakes, Demetria, we're in the 21st century. What does somebody who was born between 1940 and 1966 know about what we need to do moving forward in the 21st century? Joe Biden doesn't even know how to use a smartphone. You can see he's walking around like a zombie. Most of our older people like that, they don't use computers like we do. They don't do those things. So I think it's more of a referendum on us when we keep relying on these older people, when younger people should be stepping up, and these people shouldn't even be a consideration, other than not saying we're disregarding them in their knowledge, but they should be like a board of trustees where you go to them for their wisdom and their input. But young people should be stepping up more and leading cities and this country. It's just ridiculous that in 1960, in the baby boomers era, you had the youngest president ever elected leading the country. Of course, they killed him. And then here we are in our era where we're the younger people, and those people who elected the youngest president ever, we've elected the oldest president ever. Total bizarre world.
Yes, indeed. And so, as far as the age thing, yeah, I think it's problematic. But then you hear a young woman get up and ask that question and start all this nonsense. It really just makes you say, well, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if that lady was running, but why so discord and where there's so much chaos already? Why do that? Why make it more problematic by making a gender divide? Hell, both black men and women, I would imagine, are getting taken out of there in record numbers. So no matter who is there, it should be somebody younger, but I don't know, whatever. I'm sure Judge Joe Brown has a lot of things that he could be doing other than trying to run for mayor. Sure, it's expensive and time consuming, 75 years old. Sure, he'd rather be out there fishing somewhere. But that is a good question. Where is the young leadership? Where is the young, viable leadership that's going to show up and say, all right, this is some common sense approaches to getting rid of the crime or whatever is going on here. So I don't know. I like Judge Joe Brown. He reminds me a lot of my father. My father is from that generation where they say what the hell they need to say. They ain't, coddling you and putting sugar on it. Oh, what I gotta say to you? Oh, it's not gonna feel good. Nah, they say what they need to say. See, that's the generation I come from. I didn't get the candy coating. Well, y'all don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, shit, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. I'm gonna hurt your ass because you're gonna get an ass whooping too. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying we should do that now. Maybe a little bit it won't hurt. But Judge Joe Brown is just from that generation of saying what the hell I want to say. And I'm not going to candy coat nothing from y'all. Y'all wussies, and he's said that a couple times. Y'all can't take honest rebukes. Y'all get all up in your feelings and all this other stuff. It's like, no, I need to say what I need to say. As crime is high around here, and we probably need a man that's going to be able to go in the highways and the byways and the cuts and the crevices of this dark city where all this crime is going on and really shake some things up. And he's right. If somebody's got to do that, but see, the problem though is a lot of people want to be the leadership from the desk, They don't want to go out to the highways and byways. But if you are a real leader, you're going out there into the streets where, you know, crime may be. And hey, how y'all doing today? What is it? What is it that I can do to help? What do y'all need in this community? But they don't do that no more. They on Twitter now, or they on Zoom, or they putting out press conferences. But so if you are a real leader, you are putting boots to the ground. You're going out there, you're talking to people. And so he's absolutely right in that regards. Now, if you're talking about somewhere like Carmel or Montecito, where they don't have a high crime rate, where you can go and, you know, at any time.
A lot of black folks.
Yeah, or whatever, you know, then I can see that. But he's saying we are in a destitute situation where we need some real men with some brawn. We can bring in the beauty and the brains later, but let's get the brawn in there and sweep up this mess so that you pretty women could walk through in your heels or whatever and say, hey, how you doing? And you won't have to be in danger getting your wig snatched off and all of that. So I don't have a problem with Judge Joe Brown.
Yeah, doesn't Sheila Jackson Lee do that? She comes once every 2 years with her water and stuff, and in the community giving out her stuff, and then, you know, she's high stepping. And I don't know if you actually saw Sheila Jackson Lee recently. She was at a Zydeco concert, and she was hitting the little washboard and everything. Let me ask you, I know it's kind of off topic, but let me ask your opinion on that. As somebody who's in Houston, what is your opinion of her doing that?
Well, I actually covered the story on the African Diaspora News Channel if y'all want to go check that out. I don't have a problem with her necessarily doing Zydeco. I do have a problem with her showing up to do that stuff and not showing up to really move the ball forward for Black people, the people that, you know, send her there to Washington every 2 years. So, yeah, I mean, play Zydeco all you want to, but make sure that you Zyda doing something for your people, too. You know, that symbolism is cute.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, and as long as people keep sending them to where they need to go, they're going to continue to run. I mean, people, if you guys are watching this show, listening on podcast, Black leadership, we are literally carrying these people out in caskets. They are not leaving until you look at another option and a better candidate to start delivering tangibles. And what are tangibles? Number one, we want reparations. Real quick to Stacey Abrams. She says that she has a Black agenda, Black man agenda, right? When you read that agenda, once again, if you read it carefully, it's an everybody agenda. They just label the title the Black agenda, but it has everybody in there. No, hold these agents and these candidates accountable specific to what you're going to do for Black people. And if reparations isn't in that agenda, please don't vote for these people. These people are not going to do anything for you or to better your position. We already know right now in the modern age on this earth, I don't know what parallel earth you other people are living on, but on this one, Black people are more than 50% of the homeless issue. Black women are being evicted more so than any other group of women in the United States. They can't seem to solve the homeless issue or the problems that we're having in regards to Black people and their homeless issues, but you can fly Afghans here and house them, illegals here and house them, and all of this other stuff. We as Black people need to start asking these candidates these questions. Why is it that we're 50% homeless, but you can fly 280-something thousand Afghans here to the United States who are traitors to their country, bring them here and house them, but you can't seem to solve the problem of actual United States citizens being housed? Is it because we're Black?
Yeah, so anyway, we are toward the end. So in closing, yes, Pastor Jamal Bryant, I think in my opinion, he was out of line and he was not totally truthful. As I like to say, he was bending the truth and gossiping from the pulpit. But again, he can only do that just like your Roland Martins. They could do that because they know most Negroes are not going to go fact check them. We get caught up in the emotionalism of it all. Ooh, child, Pastor Jamal Bryant sure did preach a good one today. It's like, well, what did he talk about? I don't know. He talked about Herschel Walker being stupid and paying for abortions, you know. Like, that's what your pastor was talking about. Okay. So, yeah, I think he should stay a little bit more on the lines of reading the Bible. If he read the Bible, then he would know that he should be worried about the log in his eye because God forbid, Pastor Bryant, some woman come out talking about you did that first. And women have accused him of things. The first thing he did say it wasn't true. Herschel Walker said it wasn't true. So who's lying? You or him, you know? And then in regards to that of Joe Brown, I don't have a problem necessarily with the point that he was getting at. Again, he's from a different generation. I'm not going to candy code nothing for you. I ain't candy code a damn thing for you. It is what it is. You want the crime gone, or you want me to, coddle you to death. So again, as the election season looms on, it is in full effect, full swing. Please make sure that you go out there and vote your better interest. As Dr. Claude Anderson always says, we are the only group of people that vote as a block for our own oppression. Continuing to vote for more of nothing is not going to help us move the ball. In fact, it's going to move the ball for everybody else. As it has been talked about many times, that these people that are coming over here are now the buffer class, or they're thinking they're becoming a buffer class, but some of them are flipping the switch and voting for that of the Republicans or whatever. But the point that I'm making is that votes that we go and give to the Democratic Party, they actually go and give the tangibles to everyone else. And so it is high time Black people say, I am done being used. I am done being used, helping everybody else, while my people remain at the bottom of the totem pole. When you go in that booth and you go and make a choice, you say, is this person or this policy going to help my people and it's going to help me? If the answer is no, then you might need to look at another option. But don't go in there and vote because your mama, your auntie, your daddy, your grandpa, everybody vote blue no matter who, and all that nonsense, vote all down ballot. That's silly, because I'm voting all down ballot. What if I'm voting for something that's not really even good for me, which is normally going to be the case, which is also how you have people like Sheila Jackson Lees and Maxine Waters, all these, older people in office for all these years, thumbing their nose at Black people while helping everybody else. So be wise. And I always say this, you can get mad if you want. I don't think everybody should be allowed to vote. Now, I'm not talking about the literacy test and all that white supremacists attached to the voting. I'm just saying that if you're politically immature, you go in there and you're actually making decisions for the rest of us because somebody told you, Pastor Bryant or whatever, told you how to vote. I think you should be informed to some degree. So anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for being here for the Demetria K podcast. We have ways to donate to the channel: Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Become a member, like the video, subscribe, and all the above. Thank y'all for being here, the members and everybody who does help this channel. We love and appreciate you for that. We'll be back here Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. We are going to be discussing the Takeoff and Quavo situation. Very unfortunate situation where Takeoff from the Migos, one of three, was killed here in Houston. We're going to get into that and all the ramifications of that. So anyway, see y'all later. Y'all have a great day. Peace.